Okay, let's start with the top of the P&L line.
Okay.
So you need to divide your income into every income source. So you have above the line, below the line. So above the line is your variable expenses. What's variable? So variable is parts and labor.
Hey auto repair shop owners and enthusiasts, get ready for an event that's going to revolutionize the way that you market your business. Introducing Mars, Marketing for Auto Repair Shops. We've curated an extraordinary lineup of marketing experts from various categories to guide you through the ins and outs of marketing in today's digital age. Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just starting out, Mars has something for everyone. Save the date, March 21st through 23rd, we're hosting Mars at our headquarters in beautiful city of Ogden, Utah. Trust us, you don't want to miss this. We've got experts in websites, social media, effective audience targeting, and even a deep dive into the promise and perils of AI in auto repair shop marketing. It's a comprehensive experience that'll transform the way you think about marketing your shop. But that's not all. Mars isn't just a passive learning. We're actually going to take you on a journey to marketing mastery, because you'll not only gain insights from the pros, but you'll also craft your own marketing plan with actionable steps to help bring in new customers while keeping your loyal VIPs happy right here at the conference.
It's almost they set a plan for you. It's like taking this information, put it into action, and then just boom, excel from that.
It's worth its weight in gold to come here, not just for the knowledge that you get from everyone that presents and for the people that are trying to better your business and better yourself. It's the networking that you get with other shops. You're not alone.
They have very clear answers to the problems that we're facing. So it's not just kind of a guessing game. It's, hey, here's a problem. Here's a great idea how to address this. Here's a path that we can take to bring you towards getting the answers that you need.
If you're thinking about it and not sure, if you're ready for a pivot to change things up and really take it to the next level, you need to attend the next conference.
Imagine having a roadmap for success in the palm of your hands. That's what Mars offers, a game-changing experience that'll elevate your auto repair shop to new heights. So mark your calendars, March 21st through the 23rd. Mars is coming to Ogden, Utah, and we want you to be a part of this revolutionary event. Don't miss out on the opportunity to transform your marketing strategies and drive success for your auto repair shop. Stay tuned for more details, and we'll see you at Mars.
So you're going to put parts and labor above the line, okay? And also whatever income. So I have sales tax as a category above the line. It's not income; it's pass through, but it's above the line. And so do most accountants. Will put sales tax above the line. Tires, if you're selling more than, say, 5% of your business is tires, you want to divide tires out. If you're doing safety inspections for the state, you want to divide that income out. So above the line, you're going to have parts, labor, tires, sublet, hazmat if you're charging it, shop supplies if you're charging it, depends on your state, what you do. And you're also going to have a sales tax category. Above the line, that's income. And the reason that you want to separate out income is because every single income source has a different margin that you're shooting for. So on my labor, I'm looking for unloaded somewhere in the neighborhood of 74 to actually about 78%. Loaded, it would be 62%. Loaded means if you put FICA, FUTA, workers' comp, holidays, vacation pay, all your cost of labor. Most accountants, you can't get them to do that. So usually above the line, we're looking at unloaded labor, but that's the income source, right? And
okay,
then
so let's assume that we've got that separated out properly, but what kind of actions are going to affect those top lines? You're sitting down and you're looking at the technician or the shop. You're looking at a shop's P&L and you're like, that top line is underperforming.
Well, you have to understand what your effective labor rate is first, because then you're going to say, I have an effective labor rate of, let's say, $100. By post, it's $120, but I'm getting less because of my comebacks, because of my discounts, because of my free inspections, etc. So I'm actually getting $100. I was actually at a shop last week, new guy coming in, one of the friends that Lucas sent in. He has $115 post rate, $47.83 as an effective labor rate, and he doesn't understand why he's going broke. Okay, so effective labor rate, I wouldn't know looking at that above the line unless I understand a little more about your business, like how many techs you have and what you charge.
So, Cecil, I have a question about this. We get this pushback from a lot of shops, and I even got this pushback from my accountant initially. Why does that need to be divided up top? The accountant wants it in one line up top. They just want income and they just want expenses. Why?
So we have a bunch of technicians bitching about I don't get paid enough. Okay. So we see this giant pile, and we're supposed to have 62% gross profit if we put loaded labor in the pile. Okay. So after we pay for labor and parts, then there's 62 cents left on every dollar. So now we don't have 62%. We have 54%. Is it parts or is it labor? Okay. Where's the problem? How do I focus on it? So I've got an engine in my shop that's not running properly. Okay. I have no equipment to put on it. Right. I can't tell if it's got an air. I can't even test the fuel pressure. I know it has an air fuel mixture problem, right? But I can't test the fuel pressure. I can't test the fuel volume because the fuel volume and everything, the air pressure, it's all together. What do I fix? Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. I have to divide it so that I can pinpoint where the problem is. So in most shops, we see low gross profit, meaning somewhere I'm not charging enough for one of these. But we also might see high labor profit. And when you have high labor profit, low parts profit, you pull that in line and it looks like you're doing okay. But high labor profit means I'm charging what I need to charge, but I'm not paying what I need to pay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So that can help me determine how I pay my technician or if I'm paying my technicians enough. So if half the industry, technician-wise, are bitching that I'm not getting paid enough, and we can't figure out if we have a problem with our labor margin or our parts margin because it's all in one giant pile, how do I fix it? Right?
So what I'm hearing from you is that the accountant is not a business management professional. They're a tax liability professional. It's not their job to know if the business is healthy or not.
Well, you would hope that you have an accountant that could look at your P&L and go, you're not healthy. But they're not they don't run automotive businesses. They're accountants.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most of the time, it's like in our industry, right? You have 20% of the guys that are just killers, right? I mean, they know everything. They're smart. They know all the numbers, etc. And then you have the mediocre people. Well, it's the same in the accounting industry. If you don't get one of the top 10, 15%, they don't know this stuff. And they're being taught the accounting rules that they're teaching in accounting school today are the same rules they were teaching 60 years ago. And they might be right, but they're not right for certain businesses. You have to make adjustments in your business so you have visibility. Okay? If I bought a cheap scope and I hooked it up to the car and it showed me only one waveform for 8 injectors, but I only got one averaged waveform, right? What do I fix? Which injector do I fix, right? I can't do it that way. So, and accountants are great people. I don't want to disparage any of the accountants out there. We work with a lot of different accountants, but they're not automotive people. They don't understand our business in general, and therefore they're going to do what they were taught in accounting school 25, 30, 35, 40 years ago, which is not right for us.
Yeah. So I've been taught to select in my P&L a percentage of income. And if I'm doing that, right, we talk about a lot of percentages, and we're looking at the P&L, and that's how we're kind of judging where we're at. What should the top line percentages be? So I've got labor, I've got parts, I've got each of those items. Where should they be?
Parts should be approximately 45% of income.
Okay.
Labor should be approximately 55%. Now, you might be 52, 45, and you might have 1% is tires or 2% is tires or shop supplies or other stuff. But when you compare parts against labor, you always want labor to be higher. The only place we don't really see that is in some of the like restoration shops. Restoration shops will have parts higher than labor. But other than restoration shops, it makes me very nervous to see that, parts is 60% of your income and labor is 40%.
Yeah.
And the problem with that too is on my labor margin, if I want, say, 74% labor margin and 58% parts margin, and I have more parts and less labor, then I'm going to have a lower gross margin. Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because parts has a different margin. It is what it's supposed to be.
Okay. And so when we look at those numbers, we're evaluating them. We're saying, hey, look, we look good. We look bad. One of the things in my business that I've found, and I think it would be important to touch on here, is that so much of this comes back to building a proper repair order. And I know we're going to get into that as we move forward in the video series, right?
Yeah.
But how much of this is dependent on proper billing techniques? I guess I just want a rough idea.
Process is, what's the process? How do I estimate? How do I estimate labor? Now we're talking about labor matrices. We're talking about having different labor rates for different things. And then also, how do I mark up my parts? Am I following a price matrix that will get me where I need to be? Or am I emotional? Meaning, oh my God, that part looks a little too high, or you can't go over a dealer list. If I want to make money the way I need to make money, I got to forget about dealer list. Yeah. List, before we had we've always had dealer lists, as long as I've been in the business. But we've also had Napa list or, Worldpac list or Advanced Auto Parts list or whatever.
And they will set that booger to whatever you want it set to.
Yeah.
They can customize it just for your shop if you want.
Which is amazing, right? Because you think it means something,
right?
especially if you're not like, I've been in the business a long time. I was probably in the business 10, 15 years before I realized, holy crap, if I follow list, I'm going to go broke. I gotta figure this out, right? And I got a hold of a consultant, and I learned that there are different ways to do this that can get us what I want. Almost all problems in the shop financially are going to be estimating or pricing problems, holding the line, being able to build value, being able to sell it for what it needs to be sold for.
So, this has come up a lot in the past couple of years. And so we're looking at this from a percentage, and we say, hey, there's a lot of variability to this. You could adjust here, you could go up here, you could go down here, and you can go back and forth, as you said, and still get to a number that you think looks healthy. And I understand the technician pay thing, but there's a lot of folks talking about, well, why don't we increase labor profit and decrease part profit? What is the disadvantage of doing that? Because there seems to be a lot of people interested in following that approach.
Well, it's kind of funny because there's always a gimmick, right? So that somebody's trying to work got my side hustle. I hate side hustles. I hate gimmicks. It doesn't matter. As long as you're making 62% gross profit with loaded labor, whether you charge zero for parts and all of it for labor, it really doesn't matter. Okay. But I think we're kind of, and boy, I think the parts guys would be really happy with that because they think they would sell more parts that way. But it doesn't matter because the parts that the car needs are the parts the car needs.
Yeah.
And so I guess in the long run, it doesn't matter. Okay. But I think it's crazy that we do that. I think we need to stay the way we are because you look at certain other industries and they're literally controlled by labor rate now because they got rid of any parts profit. Okay. Yeah. And so now it's all controlled by labor rate. And so
gotcha.
Somebody's up. Maybe it's because it obfuscates the total. So I'm getting some from parts, I'm getting some from labor. I'm still getting, maybe that's why I want to do it, or maybe it's because I've been doing it that way for 43 years. But I just feel like, oh my God. So let's, we have probably right now 10-15% of the industry. They're lowering their parts prices so they can tell the customer, oh, the parts are free almost, right? Yeah. To me, it's just bullshit. I mean, I'm sorry, but you know me. I'm just who I am. Yeah. I was thinking about this morning, about like our pricing and how some shops they're saying one thing, but they're kind of. It doesn't matter what you say. Like right now, we have people comparing labor rates. Well, what's your labor rate? Oh, well, my labor rate's 120 and yours is 150.
That's no difference.
So you must be more expensive. Except the guy that's 120 has got a 1.4 matrix on his labor, and the guy that's 150 has no matrix on his labor.
Yeah, I've got a local shop to me, local dealer, and they've got a 1.5 matrix on the labor, and they tell people that they're $60. Yeah, and it's like you're manipulating the number. It's not a real number.
And by the way, dealerships have been doing this since the dawn of time. We in the aftermarket only really probably started doing this about 20 years ago, where we said, okay, we've got to be competitive. We have to be profitable. So I'm going to put a 20% matrix on my labor, and I'm going to charge 20% more. One of the biggest problems in the industry is labor margin. And labor margin is bad, not because of what you charge or don't charge, although that's part of it. Labor margin is bad because your people are not productive. So I have a guy that, the guy with the $47 effective labor rate. Well, he's got a $43 Super Tech, okay? And so now you add FICA, FUTA, workers' comp, etc. That 43 guy is now about 62. And then he's 49% productive. So he's paying out $124 for every hour.
We're paying to work on cars.
That he's billing out for $47, right? And doesn't, again, I get it. You're not a mathematician. You're not I'm not a business genius. So I just work on cars. But crap, if you're paying out $120 for an hour because your guy takes 2 hours to do one, and then you're billing it out at really $47 or even $70, you're taking $50 out of your pocket. It's $70. I'm taking $50 out of my pocket and supplementing that customer's repairs, not because I should, but because my business is run poorly. Process.
And that particular person reached out to me the other day, and he said, I just want you to know, he said, I've done the most revenue this week that I've ever done in a week. And he said, for the first time in years, he said, I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I can breathe. And he said, that's because my bank account actually went up above the number that it's ever gone up above before. And I felt like I could pay my bills and actually have money left over. And he said that's the first time that's ever happened in years and years and years.
2 weeks, baby.
Right.
2 weeks. And we haven't even started. I mean, there's so much more, right?
Yep.
I'm very excited about that one. Very excited.
Yeah, I am too. I am very excited about it.